All right, let me hit the play.
That does look like an old Coke and Pepsi thingy thing.
I don't even understand nothing. Come on.
It's not right. It's not right. It's not right what y'all doing. I came from the ghetto too. Like all of you did.
Y'all need to listen.
But you know, y'all messed up my business. And you call it black power. You mad the white man. Why destroy my business? Why destroy my truck? Why steal my computer? I'm trying to make it. Cause you understand that? That y'all see it? I'm trying to make it.
Dude, it fucking hurts to see that. That was from, it's a documentary about LA riots. It came out in like 2018. It's called LA 92. It's freaking amazing to see. And this is something that's going around. People thought it was from, the riots we just had, but it's from 1992. And dude, that shit just kind of ripped me apart, man. And it's just to see that guy like that. That whole damn documentary is just amazing. But to see this shit happen again, it's just like kind of like, what the fuck? Those people are breaking shit. They're not even from Minneapolis, dude.
Yeah, there's some people that have even stayed online. It's like, oh man, I'm going out there, to like do shit, burn it down, type things.
Yeah, go out there and just stir shit up. Where's the freaking thing here? And so I just started saving pictures. I'm like, I figured me and you would talk about it, and just like I'll let them pop up on your screen. But there's just everybody's got high definition, like really pretty cameras, man. And it's like, wow, what the fuck? That's some of the pictures they've got, and it's like almost it's like a party at night. You had the original protest day. We'll call that the protest day one. This would be the day after he was killed, and then it was like an actual protest, and then come nighttime, they were getting at the target. So the target's like across the street from the third precinct, and there was no one was breaking into the target or any of that shit. It was the next day, the second day of protest, was like, yo, let's go fucking balls to the wall insane and try to tear this place all into pieces. And, I'm working third shift. And so I'm just sitting there. I just have my damn smartphone in my cigarette pocket. And I'm just listening to this shit. And this is like, goddamn, it's fucking ridiculous. And people's live streaming this shit. And they're more excited. You'll hear people chant "I can't breathe" or something, but they're there for attention and like because they're bored because of the damn outbreak. And let's just go tear some shit up. Let's just it can't be people who live there. It can't be, because it's like complete chaos. And then you'll hear people say, "Oh well, Target's just a big business. They never did anything for the community anyway." And it's like, well, they've people got jobs. Have you seen that picture of the damn apartment complex?
Yeah.
You seen that? It's in there. It's in this set somewhere. It's like, the fuck, man. This is like, they're just destroying every fucking thing.
Yeah, it's and I get the whole thing of like, oh man, and the thing is like, well, we tried to protest peacefully and nobody noticed, and now we're doing this so people notice. It's like, in all honesty, neither one of those things changes much. I mean, when you think about it, it's like this was, back in 92, they did all these protests and they did all this. It's the same stuff where they're destroying stuff. And it's like, as time goes on, it's like nothing really changed. I mean, it's like, and the thing, you can't say, oh, all cops are bad. It's like saying all, people of a certain race are going to be rioters. It's like, you can't say every single thing. Yeah, there's some that are, assholes on both sides, but it's like, I get the whole being mad at the police thing, but this is just freaking just chaos. They're just destroying shit for no reason. It's like that whole town, it's like it's going to be freaking trashed. And for what? I mean, it's like I get the guy died, and that's sad, and it sucks, and but There's
Did you see that? You see like the whole 8-minute video?
yeah, and I mean it's they were trying to get him for like a $20 fake bill or something. I mean, it was just kind of like, and they thought he was drunk. Maybe he was. Who knows? But it's one of those. This is more of like the people that are doing this like don't care. They're saying they are. It's basically like we're just looking for a reason. It's kind of like back in the old days of school when it's like everybody'd have they'd have a party. It's like, oh yeah, you didn't have to have no reason to party. They're just partying. Kind of like the white people in Cinco de Mayo.
You have or no reason to go drinking, but we're gonna come up with an excuse that we need to drink. Just to happen that shit all the time. It's so fucked up, man. It's fucked up. And as soon as I started seeing all this shit, I thought back to the guy who, the computer guy who said, "Y'all took my computer. You fucking took everything from me. I was trying to make it." I remember seeing that. It's one of those documentaries just popped up on Netflix. I'm like watching that shit, and dude, I cried when I seen him. Because hell, I've been through that shit. My house almost burnt down.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. I can empathize. I'm a white guy. I can't really empathize. I don't understand exactly what it means to be a black man. And oh, you're a black man walking in the middle of the night. Oh, you're fucking up to no good. We got to get your ass. That shit happens.
Yeah.
But for the destruction shit, it just.
Yeah, I can't relate to that at all. I mean, it's just. It's like, because the thing is, it's like what you're hurting is like small businesses. Some of the small businesses will never rebound. Like if there's local restaurants, they were probably struggling bad before the pandemic because local restaurants always have a hard time.
Yeah.
But pandemic hits, it's even worse. And now it's like, oh, your place got burned up. Yeah, you'll never be back. I mean, it's just trashed. And the thing is about like that Target, like, oh, if that Target's burned up and everything, employees can't go there. That means people are out of jobs because they get paid weekly. It's like that's them out of work. I'm sure a lot of those people are just, they don't even live there. It's because if I lived in that town with my family, the first thing would be like, if I knew something like that was about to happen, it'd be like, yeah, we're out of here right now.
Get them out. You got to get them out.
You just leave. You figure, so it's like, well, obviously we can't go to work right now because they're going to be burning down everything. You just get out of there. You just leave,
Yeah. They closed, was it the second day before they got in? They got and Target got the employees out. Made sure that they were gone because hell, they might have had third shifts because a lot of people were working in third shifts overnight just for the pandemic anyway. And so they got them out. And then they closed down. There was something like 15 stores in Minneapolis or some shit that they closed down, which is pretty damn. That sounds like a lot of Targets there. I don't know how big Minneapolis is compared to Atlanta. That sounds like a pretty good bit. But shit, man, I just been absorbed by this crap. Because I watch a lot of Tommy Sotomayor, so I like keep up with the black stuff, and it's just God. He's and then I was watching him streaming, and he streamed that George Floyd being killed, boy, and he went off, man. He went fucking nuts. He said everybody needs to have a gun. I mean, yeah, maybe, because maybe if the guy's sitting there and saying, "You're a bum," you saw that part, right?
Yeah.
If he had guns on him, or but the police officer still would have done that. You just fucking know, and it's like.
The thing about cops is they don't know what they're getting into in any situation, because I can't tell you how many times I've heard of routine traffic stop and I got shot. It's like I know a dude that got shot on a routine traffic stop. It was just like pulled over a guy for speeding. He freaking walks up there and gets shot, and he's like, it's messed him up pretty bad. It's one of those like it gave him issues that he'll physical issues he'll have for the rest of his life. But at the same time, it's like I don't want to sympathize with him too much, but I get the point. You can't,
because what you're seeing there, what we see is murder happening on the screen. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
shit might have happened. Although I don't know if you've seen the first. There's two videos. There's one. It's like a security camera where they have him. There's three people in his car. So the two of them got out, and then they got him and they handcuffed him and they set him down. Everything's chill, everything's calm, and then they go across the street. That's where it would actually be where the incident happened. So we can't really see what's going on in that camera. The suspect is that he just might have went limp, or he might have, when it's time to get actually into the damn police car, he might have done something. But it doesn't even matter what the fuck whatever he did, because the follow up was sitting there kneeing him on the damn head for fucking 8 minutes, well past when he's dead. After he's dead, it just
exactly.
It doesn't make any sense.
And it's like, I used to watch some of those videos. Like, you remember how you'd see it where it's like they're doing a high speed chase, and then it's like the guy finally pulls over or whatever, and they yank him out the window, and they're just beating the crap out of him. Yeah. And they're like, I get that. Yeah, your adrenaline's probably pumping, but like that's not exactly a job where you should be able to lose control. Like, I mean, I get it. People make mistakes, but it's like, if you're that hair triggered of something like that, because the whole point of one of the whole things about being a cop, is calm in bad situations. It's like, if you're just going to lose it, start beating the crap out of somebody, maybe that's not the job for you.
He was calm as calm can be. The David Shavak or whatever his name is, the Tao guy. I guess that's Thai. I don't know. He seemed a little bit more nervous. Of course, he was more nervous about the people who was watching and heckling.
Yeah.
But, and then I don't know much about police training, but a lot of people are saying that, the neck thing was a serious no-no, especially if you got a guy down. He's on the ground with handcuffs on, and if he's being a dick, I don't see why you wouldn't just tase him. You might not want to tase him when he's standing up, but he was down. You could tase the shit out of his ass. And there's 4 people there, or maybe you could hog tie his feet so he couldn't kick, because he's only got feet basically to work with, and that was a big dude.
He's a big guy, but it's like there was like 4 of them, wasn't there? Like 4 people total. Yeah. So it's kind of like, and I get like you got a crowd around you, but that even then, if there's a crowd around you, it's like that should be even more incentive to like, let's not make a scene. Just kind of let's think about this. Let's not make a problem worse than what it already is. So it's it's one of those things. Like, I mean, it sucks. I mean, it's like, just like the guy not too long ago with the jogging. He was out jogging. And it's like them guys basically lynched that guy. I mean, just shot him. And yeah, I mean, it's just, and it sucks that stuff still happens. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it's like you hear like people sometimes describe it as like tribalism, where it's like deep down in your head, it's like, even if racism's bad and you shouldn't judge people and you shouldn't, it's all that, but and then you also hear that like, well, maybe it's tribalism down in your brain. It's like everybody breaks into tribes like the Indians did or something. But it's like, even then you're just like, we should know better than that by now. But
yeah,
it's just, I don't know, man. It's crazy. And the whole thing, I think a lot of it, maybe part of the whole looting thing is maybe it's worse because of the whole pandemic thing. Everybody's been locked up in their house, or cooped up or on. Everybody's been on restriction, and then it's like, oh crap, man, we're just busting loose. Maybe it's like pent up energy. I don't know, but it's freaking sucks.
It's got to be, yeah, it's got to be.
Just like, oh, you know what I mean? It's just a lot of things going on. I mean, this has been a shit year so far. I mean, we're not even halfway through it yet, and it's just like it feels like it's been this year for like 10 years. It's crazy.
We live in a society, man. Okay.
I mean, it's just. It's like, it's almost like you're just waiting for the next thing. And, and it's like, I don't know, man. And I'm not really, Democrat or Republican, or as far as that, I don't care.
They're pointing the fingers at each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, they're not really helping the situation. It seems like they're just pointing to, like, well, they should do this. They should do, that's just a freaking mess.
Yeah. Did you? I guess you might have heard about the tweet that Trump tweeted out. It's like,
exactly.
When you see looters, we get shooters, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Twitter like sort of moderated it, sort of didn't. That's all because he just signed that executive order shit. They're going to start some shit up there. But back in from LA '92, it took what is it, like something like a week or some goofy shit before the National Guard was actually able to go through there and finish this shit. I just got a couple of texts from Drew just a while ago. You know, they're supposed to have a curfew tonight because we're doing this recording on Friday night. But if you don't got the National Guard and if you don't have the police, just fucking not just the 3rd precinct, fucking all the police ever to get in there and stop that shit. But it almost looks like something they did in Baltimore where they're just like, okay, we're gonna try to protect the areas that aren't completely fucked and just let them just ravage, murder, and destroy that area that's already ruined.
Yeah, it's like already trashed. So it's like, look, we can't save that, but we can save this area.
Yeah. And it's fucked. I don't remember LA ever losing the police department though, man.
No, I don't remember that either. And I remember like when I was, because LA happened like we were 12, and it's like I remember it, but I like didn't fully understand it at the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I get it. They were like, oh yeah, they beat the crap out of this guy, and I'm like, well, that sucks and that's bullshit. And then it's like you see it all the things happening, and it's just like, but why are they doing all this? Because it's like my 12-year-old brain was like, I don't comprehend that. You know what I'm saying? Just at 12, you're just like, you didn't really get it.
And there was a huge delay from when it happened.
Exactly. It was like later, and it was kind of one of those things like, it was kind of like, but that happened a minute ago. So it was real weird when that happened at 12 when it happened. And then I almost thought they were going to start having that stuff again. What was it? The Ferguson, I forget what city that was. What was the name of it?
Ferguson was like a street or two that just went nuclear.
Yeah.
And I heard that there was just a complex of a bunch of damn guys who did not have jobs and not get no fucks. And so every time, sleep during the day, this get out, and then, fuck shit up at night.
Yeah,
that's
it's just party at night.
Yeah.
And that's like, because I remember when that happened, I was like, oh man, is it going to be like 92? And it kind of never got that bad.
Yeah. For them, if they're going for the world record, they need at least a couple more days of freaking crazy goofy shit. And of course, there isn't no Koreans on the rooftops shooting at fuckers either.
Yeah, but they do have local people protecting their businesses, which I get.
I've seen that.
One of those,
I've seen a little bit of, yeah.
And it's one of those things. It's like you just feel bad for them that you're just like, man, we got to protect our business, because it's like I said, some of these small business things, they're having trouble as it is. They don't need no freaking help going out of business. I mean, they're probably struggling, and with the pandemic, and just, God, man, you hate it for them, especially if you got like, say you've owned a local, convenience store your entire life, and you're just trying to keep that thing going. And
yeah,
now a bunch of people want to come in there and basically just demolish it. And you're just like, you'll never come back from that. If you're like, say you're like, especially this day and age, it's like, be doing good to come back when everything's going great.
Yeah, and of course people say that, oh, well, insurance will cover it, but even if it does, they might say fuck this and be gone.
Yeah, exactly. And the problem with insurance is like they'll be like, oh, well, we'll only cover this if you have. But I mean, even like insurance only does so much depending on what it is. It'd be like, oh man, you're covered for like, say a fire or something, but we can't replace all your inventory or your freaking whatever else might have been involved with. I mean, it depends on your level of insurance. It's just a freaking mess.
I probably don't have enough insurance on this house to cover the actual expense if it was to burn down to the ground. I have to get some. I might get me some more later on. Otherwise, a hell of a lot better than what we started with Daddy and have nothing.
Which it was absolute zero.
No fucking insurance. They took it away from him because he didn't get the deck finished. There was no rails on the deck.
He showed them.
Yeah, he showed them. Yeah, fucking.
But I mean, that's the thing. It's like, most insurances, it's like, oh yeah, if your house burns down, yeah, we'll pay for to have the house rebuilt just like it was. But
and there's
if you don't know that you don't have stuff for, there's other stuff to it. And you've seen that with your house. It's like, it's not always just rebuilding exactly the way. There's always other stuff that gets involved.
Yeah. And then there's basically been a theme of the inner cities, and this is fairly recent, I guess, within the past 10 years. It's called the gentrification of the cities. You might have seen this from a big deal in California, where it's just much better for the landlords or the people who own the land to just make more upper or high class housing and stuff like that. It's gentrification, and it's happened in Atlanta too. It's like the poor people that used to be in their city are getting pushed out slowly but surely. And it's like it's more of like trendy hipster type shit, tech jobs and things like that, and mainly white people, and then they're coming in back to the cities, and so there's just a lot more pushed out of the black communities, the really poor ones, and then maybe that's when it happened here. You done destroyed the whole thing to the fucking ground, and so the people who own the lands and shit might say, well, fuck building the affordable housing. Yeah, we're gonna be elite damn complexes that no one can afford. That's a big thing in places like San Francisco right now. But it's in Atlanta too. I would assume the same effect is going on in Minneapolis.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, even places like Columbus, it's like, and I've noticed this a lot of towns, and Carrollton did the same thing where you remember like the square where everybody has their downtown. It's like it used to be kind of like nothing really fancy down there. Like it was always kind of like little local shops that you'd be surprised were still in business year to year. Like they just didn't have a lot of things. Like you probably couldn't even name anything in that square if you ever went down to it, if you remember it or not. And downtown Columbus was the same way. It's like everybody's like, oh man, screw downtown. Nobody wants to live downtown. Then it's like they start renovating it and they start tendering to like college kids. Like I heard the square in Carrollton is basically like bars, and it's basically turned into a college town, which is what it was. Even though the college was there when we were in high school, it was not very much a college town then at that time, as far as like what it catered to. And Columbus did the same thing. They started turning all these old sawmills and these mills downtown into like lofts, and you could rent them out as apartments. And they had a bunch of local businesses come in there and do bars, and kind of upscaled it a good bit, made it a lot nicer. But also that's where most of the homeless community was living. So it's like they started getting kind of pushed out, and you start realizing like, oh yeah, they're having to come out further into other parts of town because they either can't live there or they can't stay on the streets there anymore like they used to be able to.
And so I rented for so long. I rented for 13 years, Chad. And then I was able to get actually a deal from the guy who owned it. Although I didn't know at the time he didn't own it. The bank actually owned it. And then so they had kept my rent fairly stable. But I'm sitting there paying or they even dropped my rent down. And then so I'm paying, because I'd been there just so long, I was living there. And then I would sit there talk to my neighbor, and I'm paying like $500 something, which is fucking hardly nothing. And then he's paying $750 because he just recently moved in. And after 2008, the housing bubble, and so people lost their shirts. Yep. And so they were renting, and so if everybody has to rent, the rent
goes up.
Yeah, it goes up, and so there's like a demand. And, there have been times when I was in that apartment complex and there's like, 4 people in my immediate area. And then there was times when it's fucking full, cars all the way down. And then it's just, and they get caught in that rut where you're barely making your ends meet, and you need to be on a certain threshold to be able to do investments or something like that, or, to get out of this thing. So you're stuck in the middle. You're not broke, but you're not making anything. You're not moving forward. And I'm thinking that, we're coming into another recession and everybody's still fucking renting. It's just going to go, the rent's just going to go up even more. Oh, yeah. Even more. And so you're in a situation where, if you're spending so much money on your rent and you're working with most jobs for retail or service sector, you're fucked. You're fucked forever. And, how do you break out of that? I had inheritance. That's how. I could have bought a house, in 2009, 2010. Although I was pretty strapped because I lost about half of my shit because I was in stocks. And then I could have bought a house and, worked on equity in that or whatever. But I knew I was going to get this house. So I waited.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you're starting off, it's like, when the fuck do you move out? I know people at work, they're 28, they're 29. They're living with their parents. I'm like, that's fucking weird. That's fucking weird.
I think that happens a lot more now, especially like, at one point, like college diploma like guaranteed you a job in something. And nowadays it's like, it doesn't. I mean, it's like, I cannot tell you how many people I know, like myself included, have a college degree, but don't use it at all. Like do a totally different work field. And it's one of those things like you just kind of, I don't want to say you get complacent, but you get to where you want to be, but it just isn't the way you planned on getting there. If you know what I mean, it's kind of one of those things. But yeah, it's like buying a house. It's like we rented forever until finally it just came to the point of like, okay, and we've lived here for 15 years now. It just reached a point where it's like it's time to stop renting apartments, and which was nice when you rented an apartment because if you had a problem, it's like
just fucking go.
Yeah. It's like, oh, the hot water heater's out, not my problem. Air conditioner's out, not my problem.
Oh, fucking Jerry clogged your commode. Two guys and a fucking snake plunger worked on that shit. Oh, they fixed it though. I didn't do nothing. I just called the fuck. I was like, this is fucked. Help me.
It's one of those things. It's like it's nice to own, but at the same time, it's like there's always something. It's like house needs to be painted, or the roof's got a leak or something. I mean, which you have insurance for, but still, it's like it's always something. Yeah. Refrigerator goes out, oven goes out. It's just there's always something. But at the same time, you get to build equity. We bought ours. Let's see, we've been in this one 15 years.
You halfway through?
Yeah, we're halfway through, and that was been in 2005. And I remember we bought our house. And it was before 2008, so it's like the market hadn't crashed yet. And we got our house, the value of it went up like I think $20,000 in the first year that we lived here, because we got it for a certain amount, and then it like jumped up the next year because we ended up refinancing the following year because we could get a better interest rate, and we'd only been paying on it a year, so we were just like awesome. And it had gone up like 20,000 in just that 1 year. So it was kind of like, oh, we got a good deal. And then it was funny because it went up some more and it went up some more. And then 2008 happened and it went down. And then it started rebuilding itself back up.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's probably the highest now it's ever been as far as that was. We were kind of wondering how the whole Corona thing would work. I forget what the average interest rate is right now. It's like super cheap. Somebody was talking to me about it the other day saying I should refinance, but it's like, I got 15 years on this. A lot of equity built up in 15 years, but could be worth like refinancing for a 15-year loan, or something to that effect. Yeah. Just with everything going on, it's kind of like not really on my forefront of thinking about, but
it seems lucky. Very lucky.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people that like, and what really helped us is we had a financer that we knew, and she was real honest, straight up, like, do not get adjustable mortgage rate, percentage rate, because she knew. She told us, like, I remember sitting in there, and this was like 2005, and she was literally telling me what was going to happen in 2008 before it ever happened. She said, oh man, this is going to be bad. She said, in a few years, she's like, what's going to happen is all these adjustable interest rates are going to start adjusting. And all of a sudden, somebody's like $800 house payment is going to go up to like $1,500, and they ain't going to be able to freaking pay it, and they're going to get evicted. And she's telling me this, and I'm just like, God, that's going to suck. Do you think that'll happen? And sure enough, 2008, it happens. And she knew it was going to happen, and she was telling people, like, don't do this. So that's what saved our ass. But she was like, you get this, whatever you do, you have to get this fixed interest rate, even if it's like higher than the adjustable to start with. She's like, it won't stay that way and it won't matter.
Could you imagine $1,500 a month?
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah, I mean, y'all could do it, but it would be so terrible. I mean,
oh yeah, it sucked because it's kind of like, and plus on top of it was the first year. The main reason we refinanced after the first year is because we had PMI. I don't know if you know what PMI is. I don't know if you had to get a loan for any of your stuff. PMI is basically like I forget exactly what it stands for, but basically it's insurance that it's the mortgage company is banking on you not being able to pay your off your house. So they're going to put in a special monthly fee to let you know. Basically, it's like we want to get as much front money from you up front in case you don't pay off this 30-year loan. My PMI that first year was $400. So whatever your house payment is, it's $400 on top of it.
Oh boy.
And it's not because I didn't have good credit or bad credit. I had no credit because I didn't build up my credit from the time I was like 18 up until I was, I think I was like 24 or 25 when we bought the house.
You didn't have a credit card?
Mm-mm. And I was like, I remember thinking like I should have freaking got a credit card as soon as I turned 18 and just like barely used it and paid it off immediately every time I used it, but I didn't, and I didn't know any better. It's one of those like I really wish I'd have known that in hindsight, because honestly, bad credit's better than no credit, because at least if you have bad credit, you have some because they know what to expect. Yeah. But when you have no credit, it's like it almost hurts you even more.
And so then, for that,
but it sucked. But basically for that first year, it was like $400 PMI, and that's on top of your house payment. So if your house payment, say like $800, that's a $1,200 house payment at the end of the month. But I remember like that was one of those situations where they're like, we don't think it's going to be that bad, but you don't know until you get into closing. And they were like, right the day before closing, they're like, look, this is what the PMI is going to be, and there's nothing we can do about it. But if you pay on this a year and refinance after a year, it'll either go away completely or it will mostly be gone. So we had that in the back of our head because we were like, oh, crap, we're going to pull out of this for that. But right before we'd been in here a year, they refinanced, and the PMI went from $400 down to $50. Which is like nothing. But what is really funny is just last December. So we've been in this house 15 years. Last December, we got a thing in the mail saying, hey, we're going to go ahead and take off this $50 PMI that we've been charging you for the past 15 years. And it's like, okay, it took 15 years of never missing a payment, no one late payment ever because it's direct deposit and automatic withdrawal and all that. So it took 15 years to get rid of basically a $50 PMI, and I'm like, that is crazy. Just the idea of it. But that's things that suck when you do buy a house also that you don't realize.
Yeah, that's the American dream. That's why I'm talking about stuff like this. It's like, of course, if you're in the city, you might not be able. You're going to be renting the whole time, and so you're never going to
buy anything.
Yeah, it's like you're never going to own it and then to eventually own it, and so you're kind of just paying till you die. And I bet you 1,500, 2,000. I mean, maybe not in Atlanta, but in something like California or some shit, it's going to be your standard starting. It's probably a fucking half bathroom. You got to go down the street to get your freaking clothes dry. It's just a loft, a fucking college loft. Is that what it is in San Francisco? It probably is. But it's just like...
Well, that's like if you ever watch those house hunter shows, and it's like a starter home is like $1 million, and it's like, holy crap, just the idea of that. But I mean, the cost of living is so much more over there.
Yeah, it's why I think that minimum wage should be varied by state. I think it is a little bit, but there might be like a capital or whatever it is. Right now, if you was to I think if you even go to like to McDonald's and something in Georgia, they ain't going to pay you minimum wage. They're going to pay you up. Well, maybe not during this COVID shit, but the job market was dictating that we had to increase, decrease your starting wages. And so, but $15 is what a lot of people are wanting McDonald's to pay or whatever. It's like, well, in California, that probably won't even be enough.
Yeah, that's not going to do much.
Yeah, and in Georgia, that's like, what the fuck is this brand new person getting paid $15 an hour for? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, man, it's like that's like registered nurse pay right there, basically. It's just that cost of living thing. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, even just in Georgia, depending on where, like, you know how it is. You go downtown Atlanta, man, you're gonna spend like $500,000-$600,000 on just a small house in the middle of Atlanta. But it's like you go down to, like, say, Carrollton or Columbus, and you get a $500,000-$600,000 house. That thing's gonna basically be like a mansion, just about. I mean, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be, a big mansion. So it really just depends on, and that's the thing. And people are always talking about, oh, minimum wage needs to be at least $15, and it's like, I assume it does in probably California. But it's like you go to some place like McDonald's. The thing is, it's like if McDonald's starts paying everybody $15, not every business is going to start paying minimum wage of $15. I don't know what Publix's starting pay is, but I can't imagine that they would start people out being baggers at $15 an hour.
No,
and the thing is if they did, how did they figure out what to pay other people? You know what I'm saying? Like somebody like you that's been there for a long time. It's like, I'm sure you make more than a starting bagger does. So it's like, oh, well, we're going to start this person out at like $15, and we're going to bump you up like $1 from whatever you were, or $1 past whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you figure that out
and then
to make it balanced out?
Yeah, a lot of times you got your what you called your gross profit on things, which may be pretty high, but by the time you're paying all of the expenses, employees and stuff, your actual net profit might be low as fuck, and it could be damning or crippling for like a small business if you had to pay that kind of price. But at the same time, it's like, well, I think a living wage is pretty important. I don't know how, this is some Bernie Sanders type shit. It's one of the reasons why Bernie Sanders should probably be the one going up against Trump this fall instead of Biden. That's a whole different topic. But good God. But we're in fucked up times, and I think if you think that there's no hope or future, equal opportunity is not equality of outcome. This is one of the classic little things, the debates that is going on right now. So I'm getting to some Jordan Peterson type shit, but equal opportunity is like your opportunity to get ahead, your opportunity to make it. And if you're, a young black guy who's like, you're 12 or whatever, and you're in Chicago and you got 7 or 8 brothers and sisters, and your mom, hasn't talked to your dad in fucking 10 years or whatever, and then like you're fucked. You're super fucked. There's no inheritance for you, and if there was, it was going to be split between you and your brothers and sisters, and you're going to, there's an entire I don't know what the fuck you would call it, just disdain for following the system, trying to get ahead, because fuck it, it's just done anything for us, and so it leads to drugs and like thuggery and shit like that, and it's like, well, how do you get out of that? You're fucked. I don't know. It's like you got cast the bad cards, and now some people who. There's always the exceptional people who are like, you know what? I'm not getting fucked by the goddamn system. I'm not going to get fucked by the lotto life. I'm going to go and I'm going to excel. That's how Mike Tyson's and shit like that happened. I mean, I don't know if you know his past, where he had raised a bunch of pigeons and shit. That was his obsession, his hobby. And then I think that some bullies were bullying him, and I think they might even fuck with his pigeons. And he got to the point where he's not taking that shit no more from nobody. And I remember watching one of his documentaries where he's crying about those pigeons. And, you can see that you can see where he came from about he was going to do shit. And he also said that, he was a thug living the hustle. And it was somebody who stepped down. It kind of became his dad, his coach, I forgot his name, became his dad as well. And kept him together. And I think that's what a lot of problems are, and I can only relate to that because my some of my friends didn't have dads, and so kind of like my dad has to be their father figure or dad too. It was really fucking weird, man. And let me go. I need to share my screen with you again, but hang on one second here. see, Skype.
It's like we can do the jive hustle. But yeah, it's almost like the I forgot what you call it. I've heard people call it before, but like the geographical like lottery of like, you know, like I guess one of the best things I saw is like, I don't know if you ever played any of the South Park games, like what was the newest one, the Stick of Truth or Fractured But Whole or whatever, where it's like the difficulty changes the color of your skin. So it's like hard mode is like you're black and easy mode is like you're white. And it's like, dude, I can't argue with some of that stuff. Now, as far as that goes, it's like, oh, you got all this white privilege. It's like, look, dude, I'm working about 50 hours a week, basically doing manual labor. Do I feel like I hit the freaking, you know, the white privilege lottery? No, I do not.
I mean, it's because of simply the majority. There's more white people who are worse off than blacks. Now the proportions, like the percentage, is wrong or whatever. But there's just more. And then, you know, we all know we live in the South. We all know we don't have the fucking ghetto. We got the trailer park and all of that. There's no dads there. And, you know, instead of like, you know, the crack of the 90s, it's the methamphetamines or, you know, it's the damn, what is that, fentanyl and your freaking shit, your sleeping pills and stuff like that, fucking you up. I know. It's like my cousin passed from that kind of stuff, and one of my friends, Smokey, his ex-wife girlfriend thing, and she passed from that shit too. It's like when you go downhill, it's like you're in there and you ain't getting out. And if you need to be almost like an exceptional person to get past that shit. And it's like, should that be, you know, what do you do? Like, do you give people who are bad off extra money or some shit? And what would they even do it? They would do stupid. Remember the Dave Chappelle shit where everybody got reparations and they bought a bunch of dumb shit?
Yeah.
It would be something like that, because things like, you know, and the routes you see, shit is like fucked up. They're just destroying shit. If the people, and a lot of them were like kids. At those kids, you know, have they been really to a point of their life where they're older, like the guy at the beginning of the video that I showed you, where they had made something, they would immediately see as destroying shit is just fucked up.
Yeah, they've worked for it. You know, it's like they've worked towards something their entire life, and then it's like, oh man, this is gonna be gone. He knew at that point too, like he wasn't rebuilding any of that. Like he'd never lived long enough to see it, you know, be back the way it was, and it would never be the same either.
Yeah, sometimes you have to have self-respect, respect for property of others, or just, I don't even say property, just respect for others. And you have to, you know, some of that shit you earn from people, and some of that shit you have to take. And I'm not taking it like just stealing or breaking shit. I'm talking about you need to take respect to be, you know, you got to kind of like be whole to yourself or true to yourself. I'm not sure exactly how to phrase that shit. And, you know, Mike Tyson was somebody he took respect. And then, it's kind of fucked. So anyway, what I have here is it's called it's a Wikipedia article. It's just the African American family structure, and so you get this. There's the curve. The blue line's the national. So this is the national on everybody. And you can see it's steadily going up. That there's non-marital birth. So it's like, you know, it's probably teen pregnancies, or it's not two income families, because your house payment now, how much harder would that be if it's just you making it, right? It'd be fucking really hard. Yeah. And so it's like, oh, without and there's this whole, it's kind of a misconception, but it's also true, is that you kind of need a dual income. And so, and there's a special damn term for like a dual income with no family. So because Jerry and Jessica, they don't have kids. And so they have extra income. You know, if you don't have a bunch of debts like that, that's how you can kind of get ahead. It's like you're not having kids. Yeah. It's like I can afford to be on my own and make it because I don't have kids. But there's like this upturn right here. But if you look at the purple one, which is the black non-marital birth rates, and it's it just from 1970 it just skyrockets, and we were like 70%, 70 or 80%. And you can say, oh, well, they just sometimes it's like they just don't believe in marriage, but more than likely, daddy and mama don't get along.
Yeah,
that's more than likely what it is. And so daddy ain't there to lay down the fucking law, because usually it's the dad who really you're afraid of. You don't want to fuck up in front of him. It's like, oh, well, you go out and you fuck up shit with, with your friends or whatever when you're 10 years old or 13, and you get home and your dad beats your ass in, because that was damn sure what was going to happen to me if I fucked up, because I wasn't going to fuck up.
I think we all heard "wait till your daddy gets home" growing up.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean. That was pretty much like the measuring stick of like, wait till your dad gets home, and you're just like, oh shit, And it was like, my dad never freaking beat me or anything, but still, it was like one of those things. Like it was the fear of like, he was serious. It's like it was just one of those like, yeah, I might screw around with mom, but it's like, dad ain't got time for that shit. Dad's been working all day.
Yeah.
Which my mom did too, but still, it's like, you know what I mean.
My dad was rebellious when he was a kid, and my granddaddy beat the shit out of him. And he's almost like he's waiting for his time. It's like, I'm not going to give him a fucking time. I'm not going to give him a shot. I'm not going to give him a reason. And so he has to bitch about me about playing video games and shit like that. When they put a damn curfew on when I could play, so I could only play certain times. It's like I could I remember it too. It's like when I got home Friday, I could play till midnight, and then on Saturday I could play. I could play from 12 to like I think it was 9, and then on Sunday, because school's the next day, it was like 12 to 6, so I could play then, and I couldn't play games. And that was really the only thing he could ever get on me. I wouldn't let him get anything on me. But your dad is gonna, if you're a little girl, your daddy ain't gonna let you go out and fucking twerking and shit, because he's gonna lay down the goddamn law.
He's gonna freaking instill a fear of God in you or whoever guy you're going out with, or other girl possibly.
Yeah, it's just and I think once you get this shit going on where your dad's not there, it comes a part where your teen pregnancy and shit comes, and it's like babies having babies. And you can't really, when your little kids, and you need your dad, he's not fucking there, or your dad is actually fucking only like 15 years old or some retarded shit like that, and he's not able to raise you. Even if he wanted to, he's not able to raise you. And at least in this sort of situation where you don't got no money because your mom has to, she's got to raise you, maybe some other your brothers and sisters, and she's all alone. At least the being fucked, man. At least to be this kind of cycle that you can't get out of. And me personally, and I'm a white guy, and I can look at it. It's my cousin went through the same kind of shit where my aunt had her when she was too young, and then she had my little cousin Gabby when she was too young and really couldn't take care of Gabby, and so Gabby gets raised by my aunt. That's the kind of shit that I can see that I think it's really going on is the true problem, as opposed to like systemic racism. The racism is definitely there. Stuff like I guess you would look at the big tough on crime laws from the Clinton era. We're gonna
the 3 strikes you're out.
Yeah,
stuff.
Mainly for drugs and shit like that, petty shit. It's that we're gonna put all these black males in prison over like marijuana or pot or something stupid, and there's systemic racism there, but it's not like, I don't think it's just built foundationally in to just hold a certain race down. Now, in terms of capitalism and actual capitalism, there is, because you have to have rich people and you got to have poor people, and it's like it's the highest mountain of Jeff Bezos living in the biggest. I mean, I guess he could have a floating palace in the sky if he wants to. It's just held up by drones. It's just held up by Amazon drones. For him to be there, there has to be some kind of the poorest poor. Somebody who's barely got freaking power. At least in the United States, you can get power. There's a medium standard you could reach, but there has to be somebody. And a lot of that might be well, America might be better off overall, higher moderate income. I can't think of the term right now. But someone in some other countries just fucking lived in a mud hut and he's being exploited. I don't think that's necessarily along race lines, though. I just and if you look at see, here's the Asian group, and it says most of them are married before they have kids, and Asians generally do end up doing pretty well. But that's just what I think. Of course, I'm not black. That's the way I see it. But it's a fucked up cycle. It's a cycle that you can't get out of, because one of my friends, he had his son when he was like, it was like 14 or some shit. It's the first time I've seen, because when we was going through school, the teen pregnancy shit was like highest in our county and then like the highest in the state. We were it, man. Carrollton was it.
I have told somebody this story before, and I told him, I said, this is what happened in high school, and I don't think they believe me. I said, I promise you this happened in school, and I'm sure you remember it, where the principal came over the loudspeaker one time, and he said that the United States had the highest teen pregnancy rate in the world, and that Georgia had the highest teen pregnancy rate in the United States, that Carroll County had the highest teen pregnancy rate in Georgia, and Central High School had the highest teen pregnancy rate in Carroll County. And it was almost like he was saying we're number one, but he wasn't saying we were number one. But that's what you got the idea of, like, yeah, we're number one at something. We're fuck ups, but we're number one. And I remember that because it's like I would tell people, I'd be like, literally, I think there was at least one pregnant girl in every one of the classes I had in high school. And it might have been because I don't know, I didn't have that many remedial classes, but I did have to I remember like I took a pre-algebra instead of algebra the first year. And some freshmen automatically took algebra. And I think I might have been, I think you did that same thing too, didn't you? Where it's like, I didn't
get high enough. I had a B.
That's what happened to me. It was like, it wasn't a pass or fail in a pre-algebra in middle school. It was like if you didn't have like an 85 plus, they would not let you do like algebra your freshman year. It was fucked up. And they'd make you take pre-algebra again in ninth grade. So, yeah, and you would kind of be, and there were people that you're kind of like, oh yeah, I get it. We're not as smart as the other kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and what does that send a message to you, man?
I sent a message. I was a fuck up.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, oh well, and if you really get fucking down on yourself, you get down on yourself because you ain't got your dad to prop you up, or hopefully something to be proud on. And it's like, oh well, we're fucked, so fuck it. It may be, the attitude. That's the kind of shit you would have to have, is a mentality to just go and fucking just burn down everything. Now, here's the conspiracy theory, though. I don't know if you heard about the Umbrella Man.
No.
I don't think I had the pictures here, but there's this. We're looking at the second day of the protest. Okay, so it's right before it goes like crazy violent, and it said the AutoZone was the first place to like burn. And they have this straight up high definition video of this guy. He's in complete black. He's in a gas mask. He has on a backpack, and he has a hammer. And he's just going down there. It's a white guy, and he's just going down there smashing windows, just methodically smashing the windows of the AutoZone. And then and there's another guy who's like he's like a light skinned black man with like a pink or purple shirt, and he has like a pizza box. I guess it has a pizza box. Probably says something on it. And they're actually working together, and I suspect that it was Antifa going in there, and we're going to spark this shit. We're going to spark the light.
Ignite this shit.
Yeah.
But definitely, there are people that fan the flames. That's like, I've heard of people that I know that are talking about like they've met people or they would be like approached about like like when they were doing the protest in like South Carolina. They'd be like, hey, we'll pay you like $100 a day if you go on this bus ride with us and just protest at this city, and people would be like, well, shit, why not? You know, it's like $100 a day. It's like some of the people wasn't even making $100 a day. And they would literally file in this bus and they'd go where they wanted them to go and freaking just do it. And I'm sure a lot of times, if somebody's offering money like that, they've also got their hands in pockets of people that would be like, can you make this a little bit worse for us? You know what I mean? Just like send, it's like, go do this.
A lot of people are saying it's cops, but that doesn't make any. The only way it would make sense, it has to be if you're not radical left starting shit, you're radical right starting shit. So it'd have to be a cop who's like, oh, he's a secret KKK and he has Nazi tattoos on his butt. Oh, I don't see it. It could be a damn white supremacist type shit, or it's Antifa. That's the way I see it. I don't think it's a cop. Oh, let's burn out every fucking thing so I get to use my riot toys. It just doesn't make any damn sense.
I mean, it's one of those. I just don't see that. But yeah, I mean, it's like it's like some of those things are just kind of like, there's food, and it's like when you get a group of people like that, it doesn't. And by a group of people, I mean any person in the world. It doesn't take much to get them aggravated, or It's like, even if let's just say you're some young kids in high school, and like you said, you ain't got no dad or whatever, and you're just kind of messing around. It's not, you start seeing a crowd of people like, oh man, they're busting into that store and breaking shit, and they're just taking shit out. Fuck yeah, we're gonna do it too. And the next thing you know, it's like, fuck it, just everybody's getting some. I had a situation like that in high school one time about CDs. I don't know if I already told you about it, but there was some class we were in. And some dude, you remember back in high school, you had the big ass binder full of CDs where it'd have like 4 CDs on each page, and it looked like a fucking like family photo album. It was so goddamn big. Kids listening to this won't remember any of that shit. It's like before you could put it all in one fucking thing, like your phone. But it had all these CDs in it, and we knew whose it was. Like, he had left it, and nobody really liked the guy anyway. It was like one of those kids that got bullied a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember it got left in class, and it's like by the end of that class, everybody in that class had started passing around that book, and people were taking out the CDs they wanted. And there was like kids that I knew that never got in trouble, like literally never ever caused problems. We're taking CDs out of that thing because everybody else was doing it. And I was sitting there and I was like, fuck, what out? I took like what out? And it was like some Kiss CD that I was like, oh, I wouldn't mind listening to this. And then somebody ratted us all out, and we all got in trouble and got called down. And all we had to do was give the CDs back. And it was like, oh yeah, here you go. Like, I didn't really care anyway, but it was funny because it was like, I didn't care, but I still did it just because everybody else was doing it. And it was like the whole class ended up doing it. And like I said, somebody ratted us out. Probably whoever got questioned first. I'm sure somebody said something.
Yeah, it's been made okay.
That's kind of what it was. It's like, oh, everybody's doing this shit. Why not, man? It's like,
Did you hear about the granny that tried to stop people from stealing at Target?
Yes, I saw the granny. How old was the granny?
I've heard different things. I've heard she was only 32. There's definitely video of her walking, but that doesn't mean that she didn't need the wheelchair. Like the wheelchair is a complete scam.
Yeah, I mean, I know people that can walk that need help walking. I mean, my son has a handicap tag on our car because he can't walk very far. Yes, he can walk, but he has trouble. And the same with, and the thing is, like, I saw pictures of her, and it's like, you can't really tell how old she is because she's got freaking fire extinguisher stuff all over her face.
And COVID hair, man. She's got the COVID perm.
I get that she was trying to, like, stop people, but, like, God, man, if you're going to pull a knife on a bunch of people like that, you're just asking for trouble. Like, it's like if you pull a gun into a situation, it always escalates the situation. Yeah. Same way with a knife. It's like, your best bet is let's just leave. Get out of there. It's like, what loyalty do you have to that freaking store? You know what I mean? You ain't
She's the greeter, man. She's the fucking greeter, okay?
It's still though. But I mean, it's like just leave. I mean, it's like it's just you're just asking for trouble.
Well, here's my evil theory. Okay. This shit, everybody's live streaming it, high definition pictures. Hey man, you could be the meme. You could be the meme of 2020.
Oh yeah, you could be the hero. I
Yeah.
held off these freaking with a butter knife. I held off all these people in my wheelchair with a
Never
butter
mind.
knife.
It's just like a side exit, and so you're not really holding that.
No,
it
you
looked,
ain't
it looked
stopping.
like it was a receiving exit.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
what
you
it
ain't.
looked like.
Yeah. Had they were like, oh well, okay, so there's some crazy lady out here in a wheelchair blocking my shit. Let me just drive up to the front. I mean, or
Yeah.
go out
Walk
because
around.
yeah. And it was just like, God damn. But at the same, there was the lady who beat her on the back of the head, and then there was the white girl with the Winnie the Pooh backpack who was stealing from her. And then people was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And the white lady's like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, well, your shit is high definition, clean as fucking day. You weren't even wearing a mask, although even then people were being identified you with just the regular mask on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're going down in history as, you're the fucking lady who robbed grandma lady. Grandma Rambo.
Chair. But it's kind of like back in the day, like, growing up, you always be like, oh, you better not bring brass knuckles to a fight, because the moment you brought brass knuckles to a fight, that meant you're going to get your ass whooped by more than one person. You know what I mean? It was just like, don't do it. It's just going to escalate the situation. And her pulling that knife is like, you're in a wheelchair. I mean, you're outnumbered. But this is not helping your situation, or going to dissolve anything. It's just this is not good. This is a bad idea. Of course, at the same time, she shouldn't have been out there. I mean, just leave, get out of there, do whatever you got to do. But
yeah. I don't know. You get to be a meme now. You get to be
exactly. You get to be 15 seconds of fame. That's like you worth what?
Sure. You just get us a concussion. Oh, you got some concussion, man. Man, it's been worth it.
I came to Minneapolis, and all I got was this fucking concussion. I mean, that's all she needs. Put it on her fucking shirt. But yeah, I saw that, and I was just like, what the fuck are you thinking? Just leave. I mean, it's just like, I don't know, maybe because I'm older, but it's just like, I got no interest in being in that. You know what I'm saying?
No hero, no villain.
I ain't got no interest in being involved, period. Just don't care. Just, like, I wouldn't want to be there on the sidelines just to see what was going on. I wouldn't want to be there to riot. I wouldn't want to be, it's just like, fuck it, I ain't got time for that shit. That's like in Columbus, they didn't have riots, but they had the protest where they were trying to block one of the major roads in Columbus one time. I think it was back during the Ferguson issue. And it's like, come on, y'all. All you're doing is making people get to work late. I mean, that's all you're doing. It's like, that was like not even in the state. It was states way states over.
Well,
so it's not even like
to be. Atlanta's supposed to do a protest today. Whether some shit started, I haven't paid attention. So, but
better wait till it gets dark, man.
Yeah, that's when the fun begins. That's when you need Batman or Wheelchair Granny.
Wheelchair Granny dressed up as Batman. And like I said, though, it's like, it's literally just something of like, it's just looking for something, an excuse. It's just an excuse. Because, I mean, you look at all these things that happen, it's like, yes, this happened. Yes, this sucked. Yes, I get if you're a black person, you want results. But, like, the attention span of this country is so goddamn fast that in, like, 6 months, nobody will fucking remember any of this shit. I mean, this one, people remember this. People will remember, but you know what's going to happen is, like, the cop that got arrested, whenever it comes up to, like, his trial, people will be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Because it'll probably be 2 fucking years before it ever comes to trial. And then they'll remember the verdict of whatever it was. But I mean, it's one of those things, it's just, whatever's happening now. And I mean, it sucks, and it does. But like I said, it's the freaking, does anybody remember Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash this year already? It's like, oh yeah, that felt like 100 years ago, and it was like fucking February or something like that.
I got a loaded question for you, man. Who's the leader of the Black Lives Matter movement?
I have no freaking clue.
They don't have a leader. It was designed from the get-go to not have a leader. And of course, the reasons will be obvious. If you have a leader like Martin Luther King, you could kill him. Yeah, he could become a martyr then, but you're killing him. And then if you have a leader, he could be corrupted. Like, Jesse Jackson's probably fucking, corrupt as shit. So the whole plan of Black Lives Matter was we're not going to have a focused leader or group. And that was kind of had a noble intention, but it also hasn't worked. So you had, what was it, Kopernik or whatever, kneeling at the football. That was his idea. That was his thing. He wasn't, I'm pretty sure. And then, of course, that has the huge backlash against it. And, Vince McMahon thinks he can make an XFL. Apparently not. But
not this year. He picked the wrong fucking year for that.
It hasn't worked. Black Lives Matter is fucked. And now you've got looters with Black Lives Matters like freaking signs in their hands going into Target and bringing shit out with their sign in their hand. You're like, what the fuck?
Bad advertisement. It's almost like the freaking MAGA hats. Like it's the Make America Great Again. Yeah, it sounds good on paper, but if you wear one of those hats in public, you're asking for it these days. You know what I'm saying?
It's generally trying to start some shit.
Exactly. I mean, it's like every time I see somebody wearing one of those hats, it's almost like they're wearing a rebel flag hat. It's almost like they're daring you to say something about it. Yeah. It's more about a statement of like, they want to fuck with you. They want somebody to confront them about it more than what the actual statement is. Like it's just. And Black Lives Matters became that same way, because if I saw somebody walking down the street with that on their shirt now, I'd be like, I would probably think the same thing. Like, it's like, oh, you're trying to prove a point. It's like, good for you, whatever. I mean,
I'll stick to wearing my kitty cat shirts, man. But yeah, this right shit, man. It's fucked. It's fucked. And you should watch that. You should watch that documentary, LA 92. I know it's on Amazon. I don't think it's free on Amazon, but it was on Netflix. It might be still on Netflix. Bro, that's damn heart-wrenching shit to watch that stuff. There was no talking heads or whatever. They just let the footage tell the story.
And that was also back before 24-hour news cycles also.
Yeah. CNN might have been very, very small at the time.
It would have been young at the time. CNN would have been very young. Because I remember about 90... That was about 90, 92 that CNN started to really get their footing. And even then it wasn't like now where it's like you turn it over there and it's 24-hour news with the tickers and, always, constant like immediate updates of everything.
What's Trump doing today?
Exactly. And then you got Fox News it's like Fox News. It's like, what did Trump do today? He ate a muffin. It's like they changed. It's basically, it's like both stations are literally like it's catered to whatever side you lean to. It's ridiculous. It's like so it basically tells you like, oh, they're both full of shit, because the way they cater themselves. And it's so weird too to be like, when did we need this like 24-hour news cycle the way it is nowadays? But I guess that
OJ, it's like OJ, man.
I mean, it's basically like, I guess that's, I don't know. Well, I remember like really kicking off at 9/11. Like 9/11 is when it really seemed to kick off, but I bet OJ was probably the beginning of it, where it was like, because that was when they freaking, they had that whole trial. It's like it was on TV. You could watch the whole damn thing. The Monica Lewinsky scandal was pretty much like, that was like 24-hour news basically also. Every day it was like, guess what we found out today? We sent her dress off to the cleaners, and you know what didn't come out? It's like this stain. She spilled white out on it.
Remember, like MSNBC, these are protesters, okay? And Fox News is like, these are thug riders.
Yeah, that's exactly what it comes down to. And it's just, the ones I feel for are like the small business people, because I get it, man. It's like I work for a small business. It's like, shit can go bad real fast. You can have a bad month, and the next thing you know, your small business is struggling to stay around. So that's the ones I hate, especially like ones like these small business local probably restaurants that were struggling to do during the pandemic. There's a restaurant here. a Ryan's here for the longest time, and it just all of a sudden closed up like years ago. And right before the pandemic, they started putting up signs for like this new country barbecue buffet.
Oh yeah.
So this was right before this, and then now it's like, damn, talk about bad timing, because you got the ball's moving. You can't just be like, oh man, I've got all this money dumped into this opening.
Ryan's is huge, so imagine the rent.
Exactly. It's like it's just like, and you see that, and you're just like, dude, I hope this works out for y'all, because like you got that ball rolling. You can't just stop on a dime and say we're gonna pause until everything gets back to normal, because I'm sure this, like, we got people we got to get paid, contractors, because they're basically rehauling that building apparently, and it's just like, this sucks for you, but
yeah, I try to go to Dickie's every time I'm working. The store's actually open. It's kind of difficult when you're third shift and everything's fucking closed.
Everything's closed. Dickie's is good. I like them.
Yeah, even the 24-hour like gas stations or Waffle Houses, they're not 24 right now. And so
Walmart's are still closing at like 8:30 here.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because you get so used to them being open until, like, even though I never went there in the middle of the night, but still, it's like if it was 9-10 o'clock, you could be like, oh, if I need something, I could still go there.
Yeah, it's like if you needed, I've done there when I've needed an oil change or something because I'd fucked something up, and I was able to go there, or a battery for your car. It's like, oh, I fucked up. I mean, there was a time I was, pretty much living behind a Walmart. I could just walk to that Walmart and, be able to get anything I needed. And so, not right now, dude. The freaking world shuts down and it hits dark, unless you're in Minneapolis. Then it just gets started, man.
That's when it's just getting started. The party gets going.
It's just fucking. It's chaos, man. Hopefully, and there's been some little copycat type of shit happening in other cities. Hopefully, there's nothing going on in Atlanta. But ain't nothing gonna be resolved from this. Ain't not a damn thing.
That's the thing. It's like nothing's going to change. I mean, it's like they'll arrest the cops. It's like that guy will get charged with murder, like he's being charged with. He'll probably, hell, who knows? He might get off. You never know these days.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? It's like one of those. Whatever it is, you shouldn't be surprised by it, whether he gets off or doesn't get off.
Yeah.
But it's not really going to change anything. It's not going to be like all of a sudden cops. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, we've probably all talked to some asshole cops in our life, because I've talked to some that are just jerks. They're that freaking macho alpha male from high school that just got off on dicking people around, and guess what? Now they're a freaking police officer, and they still get off on dicking around. And then you talk to some that are like the nicest people you'd ever meet. That's just the way it is. We
need more Andy Griffiths in the world. And Tim Pool says that a lot of times they'll bring in cops from other districts or whatever. So, they just transfer them over in the city. Your precincts, you could probably get to something, in 20 minutes, you get to the next place. And so it's like, oh, well, you could just rotate them in and out. And so they'll never actually get to know the people, or they're not from there. And where, a lot of times you see those cop shows, and sometimes the guy, they would know each other. He'd be the local troublemaker or drunk or whatever. And he's like, oh, well, we're going to pick up this guy for the 40th time. And they get there to know each other, and there's nothing bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
So we need more Andy Griffith.
Because they know each other. Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, this is so-and-so. Look, he's harms. He's freaking, he's probably got drunk tonight too much or whatever. He's high on PCP, whatever. He's harmless. That probably would be the best thing if you could do that. More people in the neighborhoods of knowing each other and things like that, where it's like, but I imagine in big cities like that, it's hard, but I don't know. It just sucks with stuff like, because you can see the writing on the wall too when things like this happen, that you're just like, oh, fuck, it's just going to cause more problems, just. Yeah. And it's not going to benefit anybody, it's just going to suck.
Yeah, and I got one more thing. I'd forgotten to talk about it. As remember the search and frisk things that they used to do? They don't do them too much before. This was a big thing a couple of years ago. This was mainly in black areas of cities. Is that the cops would just pull up and search you. there's no
no probable cause.
Yeah, no
it was
due
just
cause.
straight up like
Yeah, it's just straight a violation of civil rights is what it was. It's just straight up what it is. And I remember it was an older Frontline, which Frontline's a documentary put out by PBS. And the reporter, he was a black guy, and he just rode around, and it was a black and Hispanic cop guys. There wasn't even a white guy there, and they would just pull up on these people. They're just, it's nighttime. It's freaking probably ain't got good AC when it's daytime, so you sleep during the day, hang out at night, ain't got no job or whatever. Go up there and they're just hanging out, and just fucking starts frisking them. And like, what the fuck? You ain't got a cause. It's not even like a call to say, oh well, I've seen those guys selling drugs on the street. I'm just a concerned citizen. No, they just pulled up and tried to get them. And I remember they found drugs on one guy, and another guy was just walking. He was just walking, and he's like, "Hey, stop!" And then the guy like leered back because he was surprised. I mean, because he's, they're scared of the cops.
What the hell? Yeah,
they reared back, and because he reared back, they fucking took his ass down. And I'm like, what the fuck has just happened here? And he's like, your friend's got drugs. And they searched him and he didn't have nothing. And it's just, it's shit like that had they lawyers and stuff, they could have been nuke melted those damn police officers down, or the city or everything else. Most of those, I think, stop and frisk things have gone away. But that would
still happens from time to time.
Because, that would be this systemic racism shit, in my opinion.
I got a buddy that's a coworker that has a bunch of friends. They're all Mexicans. They get stopped all the time. One of my buddies got stopped for riding his bike on the sidewalk on a busy road.
Did you steal that bike?
It was literally like he stopped him and he was like, he asked him, he said, you can't ride your bike on the sidewalk. And he's like, oh, I was trying to stay out of the road because it's a busy road. And it's like, it's like that. And he's like, well, now I got to frisk you and check you. And it's like he literally frisked him and checked him. But his reasoning that he did it was like, oh, you're riding the bike on the sidewalk. And it's like, I don't think, maybe that's a law. Maybe it's not. I'm not a bike rider, but it's like it's almost
they can
like
find something on for anything, man.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like what's funny is the same cop did it 3 times in 1 week, literally 3 times, because he lives down the road from where we work. So it's like he would ride his bike every morning, and he said after the 3rd time he was just like, "Okay, I guess you're good." And it's like you stop this guy 3 times in 1 week. It's like obviously searching him and finding nothing, and that's all it was. He was just looking for something.
I remember, and I do not remember when I was reading up on Black Lives stuff, the top profile victims or whatever, and I cannot remember the guy's name, but and he was one of the ones who got killed, and then he had been stopped 50 fucking times, and then
that's crazy.
They never had anything on him. He never been arrested, clean as shit, but he got stopped 50 times, and in terms of white privileges, whatever, that's what. If it's anywhere, it's right there. You know what I'm saying? Because I've only ever been stopped like 3 or 4 times, and I've never got a ticket or anything. I had it not the expired license, but the little thing you have to renew.
Oh yeah,
I had that. That was out of it was out of date. That happened like twice. There was one time where it was like 5 a.m. It was really dark. And he's waving, he's motioning. There was some kind of accident or something, and he's waving and motioning. And I thought he was motioning for me, but he's motioning for the guy across from me, in opposite lane. And I didn't. So I'm trying to pull around to the side. So I've gotten to the opposite lane to go around the cop, and then he fucking lit my ass up. I didn't know. I didn't know until he's like, "Hey, washing my hand." He had a black glove on, so I didn't even see his hand until I was close to him, and he lit my ass up. But he didn't arrest me or anything. You going to work? You better get to work. That kind of shit at 5 a.m. That'll fucking scare the damn Jesus out of your ass.
That'll wake your ass up. I had that happen to me one time. They were doing a routine traffic stop. Like have you ever gotten stopped by one of those where they're just doing like they'll just set up in the middle of a road and everybody that comes through there, This was one of those, and it was at like 9 o'clock at night or 9:30. It was dark, and it was rainy, like not raining, but that misty rain on your windshield. And I remember I was going to a Walmart, and they had stopped, and like I thought there was an accident. I thought there was a wreck because there was like a bridge, like an overpass above them. So I just thought there was an accident, and he was like waving me through. So I started driving through, and he just starts yelling at me, and I'm like, "Holy crap!" And I'm like, "What is that?" So he's like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I thought you were waving me through." He's like, "No, I was waving you to the side so I could check your license and registration." I'm like, "Dude, sorry, I didn't know. It's like it's half raining. It's dark."
Yeah.
That's like I just thought you were. And he's like, one of your tail light bulbs is out on your license plate. Get that shit fixed. And I'm like, okay. And he just sent me on. And it was like one of those like, damn, like I mean, he was like, I thought he was about to yank me out of the car. And he's like the same situation. It's like, dude, I couldn't see you. It's like half raining out here, and it's in the middle of the night. But that was weird. I've also had that same situation where I've had that same traffic type stop 3 times in Columbus. And I think each time they were looking for somebody, because I would be in the work truck, and it's like they would not even look at my license. They'd just be like, "Get out of here." Like as soon as I'd pull up, because I'd just go ahead and have my license out. And I'm like, I bet they're probably hunting for a certain person. Maybe they're looking for a certain ethnic group. I don't know. But clearly they had no interest in me or the Mexicans I was hauling in the back of the truck. So, I have a feeling it's one of those where they were looking for something in particular, like some person. Because you always hear about them in town where they're like trying to track down somebody. Like our DA had a warrant put out for his arrest because he was running for district attorney, and it was, it's crazy. I'll have to share the videos of that for you. That was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, but otherwise, I've not really had much trouble with the police. You should normally try to trust them. Although my uncle's a lawyer, he says never trust them. So it's just oh man.
That's what makes it hard. It's like, I guess that's being a white guy. I can't relate to some of these people. They're just like, it's like, oh man, it's like they have a dispute with the cops. It's like I was always taught growing up, like if you get pulled over, it don't matter if you're wrong or right. Just sit there and say yes sir, no sir, or yes ma'am, no ma'am, whatever. Apologize and hope you don't get a ticket, and you just and then go about your business. You do whatever it takes not to escalate that situation. You do not challenge in a situation because you will not win.
Yeah.
They could just be like, fuck it. And the next thing you know, there's 3 cop cars pulled behind you, and they're dragging your ass off because they fucking feel like it. So sometimes when I see things happen, I'm like, I don't know. Like I said, being a white guy, I can't relate.
It's a different reality, man. And so we're not scared of our local cops. And when you're in the inner city, those cops might not give a fuck, and they might not even be local, and so they got no sympathy. And there's a black dude. What's he up to? Let's get his ass. And it might not even be just like blatant like KKK racism. It's just like a racial profiling type thing. It's like, well, most of these black guys are up to no good. Let's check, and he might not be a deep-hearted shithead. I think you were already talking about that, but it's just it's fucked. It's just fucked, and it ain't gonna be fixed in our lifetime, I don't think.
Nah, it's one of those things. It's just, it is what it is. It sucks, but a lot of things sucks, and it is what it is.
Yeah. I guess try to be the best individual you could be is all I could ask. I mean, I don't know. I don't fuck. There's no solution that's easy to it. I don't think Black Lives Matter has worked. So something else needs to come through. I don't know if you just get a big fund and start suing the fuck at anybody who's harassing your ass. Like, imagine if that guy who I said who got stopped 50 times, if he had money and fucking just, filed against the county or whatever. It's like, you guys are just trying to get your damn arrest quota, your ticket quota just to the max. I'm suing your fuck out of you. And they'll probably start, maybe we shouldn't be worrying about our damn quotas of tickets or whatever. Oh, God, dog.
But even then, it's like, it probably wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, who knows?
Because them guys don't give a shit. I mean, it's like, it's one of those things that, and like I said, I can't say all cops are assholes because they're not. I've met some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life were cops. But like I said, I've also met some that are just like, you're just a damn dickhead. Just like in any lot in life. You know how it
Yeah.
is. Some are assholes, some aren't. It's no, it's just, that's what they are.
This is the difference is this asshole can haul your ass off the jail.
Exactly. That's the thing. And that's why I was saying, it's like, I was always just like, if I ever had an issue with a cop, it's always just like, my bad. Whatever you think I did, okay, I'm sorry. It's like, if it's something that needs to be taken up later, it's like, I'll worry about it later. But my goal is to never actually have to get arrested at the end of the day. So, I just shut my freaking mouth and do whatever. But like I said, I haven't had a lifetime of being predisposed of cops freaking profiling me either. So it's like I can't relate at all to that.
Yeah, it's fucked. I guess I will end it there where it's fucked.
It's fucked. It's fucked.